Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of the Tracy Gold Show. And today we are talking about how style doesn't have an age limit. And my guest today is Sonia from Style Beyond Age, and we're just waiting for her to come on. She's an amazing woman. She's a Instagram influencer and a lifestyle blogger for women over 50. And she's really one of the most inspirational women that I know. Well, okay, I know quite a few, but she's really phenomenal. Hey, I can see, Sonia, that you're there. So I'm going to send you a request to join. Okay, just a second. We've just had some technical. So I've sent you that request. Just click on the request and it will bring you in the room. Yay!
Yay! What do you know?
Sonia, I'm telling you. In fact, let me just adjust. I just got a new phone yesterday, so I'm still learning how to get that whole thing sorted out.
Well, how are you? And can you see me? I know nothing about technology. I have no idea how I even survived the day.
So, Sonia, I must just say to you that you're amazing. And just thank you for being willing to play with it, right? And just have some fun with technology and learn how things work.
Well, you know, if you don't learn new things all your life, you are promised to fade.
Yeah.
So this has been a great learning curve. Let me correct that. This is a continuing, frustrating, amazing learning curve for me. Since, as you might remember from our original chat years ago, when I knew even less, if that was possible, I didn't know anything then, and I'm a little better now, but not with technology.
Yeah. Well, I think that your willingness to learn is really the main thing, right? Because if we believe that we can learn, then we can. And if we believe that we can't, then we're gonna fail.
That's very true. Because I say more often than not that there is no competition. And I find just from my connections with the wonderful women that I have made here, and some I don't know yet, but I read their comments, they're afraid to get out there.
Yes.
And for me, since there is no competition because we're all so different and there
Yes.
is no right and wrong, and for me, as I keep saying, just me, I thought, what the heck, at this age I have the privilege and the right to
Yes.
do whatever I want. If I fail, I fail, but I tried. And it's never a failure when you learn something, which is always if you're open to it. So,
Yes. Sonia,
but
that's
I
an amazing
digress.
way of, yeah, that's an amazing way of looking at things because I think if you just see yourself as the individual and as unique as you are, and then you're willing to just learn new things, that opens a whole world to us, right?
It's
Otherwise, we can end up doing this to ourselves, and no
not
one's
only,
actually doing it to us. We're doing it to ourselves.
yes, and not only do we do this, then we look at what everybody else is doing and we start the comparison. And then you get the following, the
Oh, yes.
paralysis of analysis. I never looked at
Mm.
anybody else's work. I never looked at anybody else's blog. I just did that.
It's amazing. So, Sonia, tell us about your story. Now, I have interviewed you before and I know you a little bit, but for the viewers who don't know, tell us how you started your blog and your Instagram account. I mean, how young were you at the time when you started?
Oh, nicely put. Good
Yes, I
segue.
love that.
So, you might recall, but as you say, other people don't know me. So one of my many passions, but one of my greater passions is to design and build homes. So I have
Yes,
done that for myself, not for other people, because then, it's difficult to please people. I
yes.
have done it on many occasions, let's just say that. So I was up in Montana. My husband decided it was time for him to retire. And we had had this little place in Montana to escape the Texas heat. And
Hmm.
it was a lovely little place where we would spend 3 weeks, so that this, that, and the other. And when we first bought it, it was just a little cabin. And all I needed to do was remove the trout pillow off of the master bedroom bed. So I was perfectly content. It was a little log cabin up in the woods overlooking a beautiful lake. Perfect. Well, as he decided to retire, we needed, some room. So I began to develop an addition to this place. And over the years, it ended up being larger. The big joke is everybody builds a huge house for their grandkids to come to, and the grandkids never come because they have so much other things to do. So anyway, when I was finished with the house in Montana, which by the way is up on my blog, I had designed it completely. I had built it and run the construction project, and I'm mechanically inclined, so I know a lot about the guts of building and stress walls and this, that, and the other. So when I was finished with that project, I looked around and I had really nothing to do, and it was hence the beautiful closet I built myself, because I was pretty much unsupervised. So I took the
What do you mean you were unsupervised?
Well, I was unsupervised with the floor plan, and I had a budget. But my husband's he has a bit of a more flexible budget than I do, so he never caught me building my magnificent She Chateau, hashtag She Chateau. So anyway,
She Chateau, I love it.
She Chateau. I built myself like 500 square feet of closet-bathroom. It's up there. It's magnificent. But at any rate, we've sold that house. So what happened right about then, I turned 65, and I looked up, and in Montana, the huge lake, it was cloudy. So I was also starting to get depressed. Because if we don't have a raison d'etre, then we lose our way, I have found, just as human beings in general. That's why I think it's important not to retire, but to continue growing, continue creating, just continue. So my daughter told me that I needed a hobby. And as you might recall, she's a stylist in LA. And I said, well, Serena, I have a hobby. I like to build houses. And she says to me, no, mother, a cost-effective hobby.
I love that.
That's what you get for having children. She's turning 40 in June, and I'm going to Malibu to see her. But at any rate, and she says, you have to start an Instagram account. I had never been on Facebook, Instagram. I'm European, so I had never done any of that. We're highly, highly private. Well, look at me now. So,
look at you now.
Look at me now, and I'll tell you how I got away with it in a moment if we have the time.
Yes.
So I started an Instagram account, and the first few pictures way down 3.5, 4 years ago, you'll see I've got a hat on and I'm looking down at my foot, and then my daughter gets on there again and she says, no, mother. I go, well, this is when you know you're going senile, when you're the child to your children. So she says, no, you need to get a photographer, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I go, this is just a hobby. I'm not willing to spend that kind of money. And then, of course, I did. Because I do as I'm told where she's concerned. So the way I got over the shyness or the lack of privacy and all of that entails, which we all deal with, in my mind, I just set that aside over here. And it just became an avatar for me. So I had to disassociate myself from this thing over here. And I hear people in the media say something like that now in retrospect, and I'm understanding what they mean. Now, there's a fine line between standing apart from what it is over here and not being authentic.
Yes.
So authenticity is the key.
So how do you balance that? Because that's what I was thinking straight away, is that yes, in a way we do create avatars, and let's be honest, Sonia, that photographs and lifestyle, I mean, so much goes on behind the scenes for that, right? It doesn't just happen. And of course, we know, you and I know how many photographs it takes to get one good Instagram
I say 300 for every 10.
Exactly.
you know
Like
what?
oh no, my double chin. Oh no, I don't like that side. I mean, like it just is, it isn't the real world that we live in. It isn't just a simple snapshot. It's that whole thing. So how do you balance that? Okay, so this is an avatar and I'm sharing part of myself, but you still be authentic in that.
I'll tell you quickly. As the time went by, I became more flexible with myself. My
Mm,
true, authentic self came out, the one that says, I don't care what you think.
yes.
There's that very prominent part of me. And
Mm.
so then I started releasing the avatar. Um, because
Interesting. So, okay, so let me understand you. So, you first decided in order to get beyond your fear and your trepidation
privacy
around
issues, privacy
privacy,
issues.
et cetera, you decided in your mind, okay, I'm creating the style beyond age avatar in which I can play in that space. But then as you
Yes.
started to play in that space, you maybe discovered like, actually, these are parts of myself and I can start being more myself and I can start letting go and just being more fully myself and care less what people think of me.
In front of people, yes. So
Yes,
of course, for instance, let me just have a squirrel moment. I'm
yes,
looking at my little screen here and I look very beige.
yes,
So I don't know if that's the way you're seeing it, because I need more lighting and I'm
yes,
literally in front of a window. So now,
yes.
I mean, you could critique yourself all day, but
Oh, I know.
ladies, this is what I look like. And for me,
Yeah,
it's early.
yeah.
So we were at the avatar stage of this conversation. So
Mm,
then um, it was summer in Montana, and I have
mm,
worked on my figure, and I have taken bioidentical hormones now for possibly 20 years.
mm,
So my fitness level is really good. I'm not, at any rate, I posted a bathing suit shot. And I
mm.
have posted one recently, as a matter of fact.
Yes,
And then that was a very interesting slash curious moment for me,
mm,
because because at the beginning of an Instagram account, it seems like to me, you get a lot of trollers and men and that sort of thing.
yes,
So I never respond to men, honestly. I never respond to men.
yes,
And as I cull through my followers, I get rid of what I have been trained. I've taken a lot of courses, so I take my time to get rid of followers that I think are robots. And that
yes,
doesn't happen because you're putting something out. It happens because the robots seem to be everywhere. So I
yes,
would cull that out. And then I said to myself, I don't want to be trolled, but I also don't want to be controlled.
mm,
So there is a line
mm.
right there.
So that is so interesting, Sonia. Yes,
So
there is a line right there.
why should
Mm,
I let them not allow me, in my own
mm.
head, of course, because we're the only ones controlling whatever happens.
Correct.
Why would I let them control what I put out to other women? And the reason I wanted to put out a full-fledged joyous bikini shot is
Yes,
because I want women to understand that you can feel comfortable at whatever stage you are,
yes.
in whatever moment you are. And then I will also talk about lighting. One time I posted two pictures
Mm.
that my photographer took up in Montana. One, I looked sad and dreary, and another second later, I looked happy and fine. And that was
Wow.
within a second. And I
Wow.
posted both pictures.
Interesting.
And that was about a year and a half ago in the spring in
Mm.
Montana. One picture, and then the exact same position, the exact same click in a
So
split
good.
second was completely different. So my
Yeah.
post there had a lot to do with, ladies, it's not you. And I hate it
Yes.
when people say that. It's
Yeah.
the lighting.
Yeah.
It's really the lighting.
That is so true, Sonia, because I do a lot of on-camera work, and I'm doing QVC work, and it's all about the lighting. It's about the position, even the position of the camera, depending on the
Yes.
camera itself, right? So
Understood.
even if we look
Understood.
in today's situation where so many of us have been on Zoom, I can put a red lipstick on and do an Instagram live, and it looks like I'm hardly wearing any lipstick. I can go onto Zoom, and it's like, whoa, it's so bright.
Right.
It's like
Yes.
insane. And then I use a StreamYard, and I actually have to close my curtains and block off all the natural light because I'm so overexposed. Because there are
Mhm.
filters inside of those screens and filters inside of those cameras that are making things what they are. And so we have a distorted sense of reality when
Yes.
we look at these things, and how powerful and how beautiful that you're willing to share that about yourself and to say, look here, ladies, look at the difference between a good lit shot and a bad lit shot.
Within a split second. And
Yeah.
somebody says, "Oh, you look so good in your bathing suit." Well, ladies, anybody stretched out like this
Oh, let me tell you, it is
will
so.
agree.
I did a
Of
bikini
course.
shoot. So Sonia, I have to tell you that years ago, I mean, I'm in my late 40s now. I think I was in my early 30s. Yeah. So Marie Claire magazine did a shoot on women who didn't normally wear two-piece bathing suits. And I had come from a very conservative home, and we were not allowed to wear bathing suits in front of boys. Never
Oh, yeah.
mind a two-piece bathing suit.
Honestly, the
So,
good old days. Now
but
all our teenagers are half naked. Not a good look, children.
anyway,
But anyway,
so I decided, well, I'm going to come out now, and I'm going to wear a two-piece bathing suit. Let me tell you, it was the most uncomfortable shoot I have ever experienced. Not because of how I looked, but because of how I had to stand for the photographer in order to look. I felt like I was like this.
oh yes.
I felt like, and then after the next day, I felt like I had done a master yoga class. I was so stiff from a 20-minute photo shoot just
Hmm.
because, well, move this and then do that and then do this and then hop back.
But
And
they turned out, am I right?
they looked great. I looked
Yes.
natural, but it was so deceiving.
My
So completely
I had a
deceiving.
photo shoot a couple of days ago with my wonderful photographer here in Dallas, and she'll say to me, oh Sonia, you look so good." I said, "You are so full of it." Honestly, Sarah, because all photographers, they have this litany of compliments that just comes out of their mouth. It's
Yes,
hysterical. But she says to me, "Now remember," because I did a little bathing suit thing. I don't like the
yes,
way I looked, but we'll see.
yeah.
So I'm walking by the pool, and she says, "Well, I know this is awkward. You know you're in trouble," when she already starts with that. "I know this is awkward, but cross your legs like this when you walk." So I'm on the edge of a pool doing this, and she's already told me in heels, and she's already told me it's going to be awkward. No kidding, Sherlock. But
That is
but it does
insane.
look good. You've got to do this,
Yeah,
So yeah. So the whole
yeah.
thing, you are so right.
Uh,
But back to being real on Instagram or
yes,
whatever. Instagram is my thing. I need an
yes,
assistant, everybody. But anyway,
yes,
so when I get somebody to come along with me and shoot behind the scenes, I love posting those to my stories.
yes,
Sometimes I'll post it straight to my Instagram account,
yes,
because behind the scenes, there was one picture of me in Montana with my head inside the back of my Jeep Grand Cherokee,
yes,
and shoes on the sidewalk and whatever. It was hysterical. So I like to do a lot of that because
yes,
it takes a lot of work, and you have to lose all pride in order to
yes.
give a good Instagram post. We do
You
it for
really
you
do.
ladies, not you
Yeah,
gentlemen, you
yeah.
ladies.
So Sonia,
Anyway.
let's talk about style. So and I love how you see style as much broader than just the clothes that you wear. It's almost like your lifestyle, actually. And to have a beautiful and good lifestyle does not have an age limit. Talk to us a little bit about how you feel about that.
Well, The reason I actually got onto Instagram when Serena mentioned it to me, I did a little bit of research, and I'm 68, soon to be 69. So at the time I was 65. So I got on there to see what was available to women in that age bracket. And I saw
Yes.
two things, not to be judgmental, mind you. I saw two things. I saw women wearing clothing that was maybe too trendy and too young. And then I saw women that were very theatrical. And then at the time, the conversation was, I don't feel heard. And how can I be, what does age appropriate mean? And
Yes.
both of those things have several connotations to them. And at the time also, I thought that I would do a few little series on, for instance, the camo trend was very big. How to
Yes.
wear camo. How
Yes.
to wear camo if you're in your 20s, or how to wear camo if you're in your 50s or 60s. So I would do a little bit of that. As I get older, you're right about lifestyle is an all-encompassing thing. First of all, staying young in your head is the most important thing you can do. And
Yes.
I'm not talking about acting the giddy goat, as my mother would say. I'm just talking about staying up with music, staying up with fashion, whether you like it or not, know what's out there, changing your home from time to time. And we do that a lot around here. My husband's the kind of person that if the chandelier has been up for 3 years, he says it needs to be refreshed. So I learn a lot from him as well. But so when I first started, there was that whole conversation about women not being heard. And in other societies, as you know, women, as they grow older, become the matriarch of the family.
Yes.
And in this culture, I call it the Kleenex society, the disposable society. Youth is the only thing that has been valued as of late. Youth is the only thing that is valued. And that is a real shame, because experience is what you want to get when you're young. And if you don't have that example, all women of a certain age have not gone out to pasture somewhere and kept their trap shut, especially now. So we're more verbal than we've ever been. And this is the time to really commune with our youth. I live in a place now. I'm in a penthouse here in Dallas, but it is a building that has a lovely soup of different ages and different backgrounds. So I have a teenager, no, she's in her 20s, a 22-year-old next door to me. I have working people in their 40s. I have kids in their 20s, and I have the old farts, as I call them, like me. So I have a nice combination to feed off of it. So that's been very helpful to me too. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I love how you're saying, Sonia, that when you started your Instagram account, when you were looking at what you were going to create, that you saw the need because women are actually being ignored. As we get older, we're being treated as if and seen to be invisible. And that's one of the things that I used to, when I had my YouTube channel, well, it is still there. But when I started focusing on women over 40 and fashion for women over 40, women were hungry. They were hungry for that because there wasn't anything speaking to them. There were all these wonderful fashion magazines and fashion blogs speaking to younger women, but there was nothing for the women over 40, 50, 60 and beyond. And now I'm seeing a massive growth in that on Instagram and that kind of thing. But I still feel like we have a ways to go. And I also like what you spoke about. There are what you would see as women who are wearing very young clothes for themselves. And then there are women who are very theatrical, like the advanced style movement. Now, if you don't fit into those two categories, what happens then?
That's right.
You
Yes,
know,
what happens then?
and how do we find it? And as we know, our bodies change, our lifestyles change. I mean, we've gone through massive changes during this last year and the last pandemic. So our lifestyles have changed, and maybe our priorities have changed. And it's time to reevaluate what we really want to say about ourselves with the clothing that we wear. And it sounds like that's what you did, is that you started an Instagram account that gave women permission to explore the in-betweens,
Yes.
not just the from one extreme to the other.
Right, because that's just not real life. But to your point about magazines, I mean, they had the nerve back then to be selling cosmetic or skincare with a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old. I
Yes,
mean, really, I have a saying that is, how
yes,
stupid do I have to be to deal with you? Just tell
yes,
me. You know,
yes.
just tell me. How stupid do you need me to be? So that
Mm,
was outrageous, and the coming of May Musk helped a
yes,
lot because they finally caught on to the fact that we were not tolerating that and we were seeing right through it. So
yes.
then they all of a sudden wake up and start saying, oh, yeah, 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 whatever. But to the fashion issue. So
Mm,
my first thing is, this is a disposable society. And on my Instagram account, I try not to sell. I don't want to sell you anything. When I
mm,
go shopping, I do it as a trip through a museum. I
mm.
go in and I look at the trends and I see what is out there and I just take my time and I go a few times. It's like a little museum run for me.
Yes,
And as I look at things, I go, oh, I have that in my closet that could evolve into a look like this.
mm,
And then I move on and I say, oh, that's an interesting way to tie up a white blouse.
yes,
And in my closet, instead of having 15 white blouses, I might have three really lovely ones that fit me correctly
mm,
and that I take good care of, which is why
yes,
I started a kind of a sustainability section to my website, because
yes,
that is now all of a sudden it's a trendy thing to do. But when
yes,
we were raised, it was what you
yes,
had to do
yes,
for financial reasons. For in Europe, you're very careful with what you buy. So
yes,
that's the way I handle shopping. So then I go
yes,
into my closet and then I start putting a new thing or two together with what I already have existing. So
yes,
my shopping spree is to go out and absorb as much information and as many pictures in my head as possible, and always remembering what I have in there. And to
yes,
remember what you have in there, ladies, you really have to cull out your closet.
yes,
Every season I go through and I get rid of stuff.
yes.
Every season. I know it's painful to start out with, well, hello, Serena. My daughter is on. And I'm talking
Oh,
about you, Serena.
wonderful,
So
Serena. Nice to see you.
Serena's the stylist in LA, and she's the
Yes.
one that keeps me straight. She would come into my closet in her teens, and she's the first one that really taught me how to dress in a more style centric way. She would
Mm,
come into my closet when she came home from college, and she would just clean it out, put what I had there together in different ways, and it was so, so edifying, and it still is. She can remember
amazing.
what I have in my closet and say, "Oh, that's right." She's saying, "Oh, you have that silk cami that is um, purple and pink or whatever that color it
Yes.
was, and that will go well with this." And I'm thinking, she even remembers that. I've forgotten I had it. So
Yes.
I think the first place to start, if you want to have some direction in the way you dress, is you go through your closet, you get rid of the things or tailor the things that are in good shape and good quality, and keep them that are classics. When
Yes.
you have your basic classics, then you can go out to stores, see what the trends are, pick a piece here and there that will still last in your closet, and play around with it. I'm
Yes.
posting a lovely little tie-dye skirt and cami from Target. The whole
Yes.
thing was $30, but
Amazing.
it's perfect for the summer here. It's
Yes.
perfectly chic. I posted it whenever. So, and it's this little pink tie-dye, very, very light colored. So it doesn't have to cost a lot to be stylish and
Yes.
be on trend if you know what your body type is, and
In
you're very
fact,
good about talking about that.
yeah. In fact, Sonia, I think it's, to your point about the way Europeans shop, and I've, because I've spent some time in Europe as well, and definitely Europeans are much more selective, and they have their good classics, and then they'll add like a trendy piece here and there. And the interesting thing about fashion, and especially in the last year, is that there's nothing really new.
No,
There are no
no,
trends.
there's
There are
nothing
no
really.
new trends because I don't even think the designers know what it is we want to wear or where we're going. I mean, I think we're all in completely new territory. We're having to try and figure this whole thing out. Like,
Or
what is
we.
life going to look like now as we come out of the pandemic? What are we going to wear? How has it changed our priorities? What's important to us? And one of the things I also realized is that so many of the women I spoke to said they realized they didn't need so many clothes.
That's right.
They
And
did a clear out and they were like, oh my goodness, I don't need so many
I
clothes.
don't need all of that. That's
Yeah.
why when I travel, it's carry on only. I
Yes.
mean, when Serena and I went to Europe, it was carry on only. We were gone for a little under 2 weeks, and we
Yes.
even had evening clothes for Monaco. But about designers, I don't think they care what we want to wear. I think
Yes.
they just want to do what they want to do and see if we're stupid enough to follow. Excuse me. So you be
I
very,
think
very
that's
careful.
changing. I think
Well, it
that's
is now
changing, Sonia. I
because it's
think that
hitting their pocketbook.
exactly. That's my
Mm-hmm.
point, is that I think that
Yes.
it is because now they're in crisis. And so now
Mm-hmm.
they're scrambling and they're like,
Well,
oh,
they might be
wow,
listening.
Yeah. Oh.
Well,
Yeah. Sonia, this has been amazing. I mean, I could speak to you all day, but I am aware of your time and I'm aware of our listeners' time. And I see there's so many amazing comments. And Serena, it's lovely to have you here. She says there are no more rules anymore, and it's so fun.
and it's
I
so fun.
agree.
True.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think if ever there's a time to start living our lives the way we want to live them and embracing who we are, it's now, ladies. It's absolutely now. So if you haven't already, if you're still on and you haven't already seen the show before, it's the Tracy Gold Show. This is a lifestyle show for women over 40, 50, 60 and beyond. And I have amazing guests like Sonia, Tuesdays to Fridays at 1 p.m. EDT. And I would love it if you follow the show. And also, if you want to get the replays, then you can just go to my website, tracygoldshow.com. The link is in the bio, and you can subscribe to the newsletter because that way you will get an email once a week just giving you the links to the replays. And we have some fabulous events coming up very soon. So get onto that mailing list. You're going to want to know what all that is, and you don't want to miss out. So thank you, Sonia. You've been absolutely amazing. As always, it's awesome to speak to you. And I think we should do another one of these sometime soon.
That's the deal. And thank you for tolerating my ramblings, and I'll see you next time.
I'll see you soon. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.